All right, well, I'm here with Philip today, and I'm really excited to be sitting down with Philip today because Philip has had a pretty remarkable story and a pretty remarkable experience here in the last 10 weeks. And so, Philip, I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you came to our practice? I mean, what were some of the problems that you were experiencing that just caused you to reach out to us?
Well, I got sick about 10 years prior. I was active duty military and I ate raw eggs. I didn't think anything of it that day. I got terribly sick, two or three IV bags later, and then some anti-nausea medicine.
Yeah.
I figured I'd get over it, especially I was in ultra marathon shape at that time. I never got over it. About a week later, I was like, I'm just gonna force myself to go to the gym. I gotta shake this. Nearly passed out on the treadmill, and then that's pretty much been my life ever since. I saw a few doctors, and they've all told me the same thing. You look fine.
Hmm.
Never really did any tests. Um, Later on, when I went for my civilian job, I had to do cardiovascular testing with an EKG or ECG, whatever it's
Yep.
called.
EKG.
Um, and at that point, my heart rate at rest was 42 beats per minute, and the complete absence. And at this time, like I really wasn't doing any type of cardiovascular exercise. And I noticed over the years my heart rate had been declining when I started looking at the other records.
Yep.
No relief from there. The doctors basically told me I looked, I was fine. It's because I'm young and healthy, and I look fine.
Right.
And then the last ditch effort was I went to an endocrinologist thinking that maybe I had something wrong with my thyroid.
Right.
And he told me that I would have rings around my eyes, that dark rings.
Yep.
I would have some type of physical manifestation. Um, but so then I was fine.
Yep.
Nobody ever did any testing.
So for 10 years,
Yeah.
you were suffering with all of these problems, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about some of what those symptoms were. You've been to 4 or 5 different kinds of doctors, no help, no answer, no solutions.
Right.
Basically, everything is fine, you're normal, come back in a year from now or something like that.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what kinds of symptoms, what was a day-to-day, what were your day-to-day struggles, and really kind of what were the symptoms that you were experiencing?
Every day I would have extreme like brain fog, mental sluggishness.
Hmm.
I could go to the gym, and I always did try to force myself to go to the gym anyways, and just to fight through it. But sometimes I'd feel like passing out, and sometimes I was normal. I would get, pull-ups was one of the things that I would, once I got off the bar, I would just feel like everything was turning dark, and I would just, but I faked it, like I would just
Sure.
tell everybody I was fine or I wasn't feeling good, or I was just tired. And people notice. I mean, sometimes you're articulate, and other times you're struggling to even form a normal,
Sentence.
coherent sentence. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were experiencing some dizziness and some vertigo. You were having episodes where you were passing out during activity. Your energy was just completely drained.
Hmm.
Memory was a problem. You also tell us a little bit about the fatigue you were experiencing. I mean, when was the fatigue at its worst for you? And
Yeah.
was it one of those things where it was just day in and day out relentless fatigue?
Yeah. I never actually passed out. I felt like I was going to.
Right.
But the fatigue, yeah, I mean, definitely like extreme fatigue. I mean, mental, physical. Like I couldn't. I mean, I do a very physical job, and I'm
Right.
still part-time military.
Yep.
So, um, you just try to push yourself through it, and it it's grueling. I mean, you're just physically and mentally fatigued.
Yeah. And it's
So,
crazy that someone could be suffering for 10 years, having all these symptoms, and yet doctors don't want to run the kinds of tests, or either maybe don't want to run or don't know what kinds of tests to run in order to really kind of get to the more of the core issues of why that person is really suffering.
mhm.
You're not dying, but obviously day-to-day life is just such a struggle,
Right.
you know?
And if I could, I've always worked like my whole life since I was 17. I was in the military. I put myself through school.
Yeah.
I did pretty good in school, and I have my own job. I've never been a medical abuser, and I'd say downright offended, going into the doctor's offices when they would suggest that I was. One of them asked if I was happy with my job.
Yeah.
I love my job. I love working. Um, I'm a paying customer at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if nothing else, if there's not going to be any type of care, at least do your job. And I don't feel like, and if you feel like regular doctors don't do their job or they don't listen to you when you know there's something wrong with your body, then you have to take an alternate route.
Absolutely. And it's a good thing you did, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because 10 weeks now, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you feel? If we were to fast forward, I mean, you only started our metabolic program 10 weeks ago.
Hmm.
We're just getting ready to start the second phase of your protocol. And, in 10 weeks, and that's a relatively short period of time considering you've been suffering for 10 years,
Hmm.
what would you say, how has your life changed and what's improved, from day to day for you now?
Um, I'm definitely, my energy levels are more sustained. My GI issues, definitely a lot better. Um, I don't really have the brain fog
Yep.
issues. I definitely don't have the episodes where I'm just like I can't understand anything and I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I never have those anymore.
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
I may have once in a while, if I break the protocol, like by being at work
Yeah.
late,
Yeah.
I'll have maybe a little bit of shakiness or some type of
But there's been some
sluggishness.
drastic
But
improvements.
yeah, I mean, it's just been amazing. Like my memory recall, like short-term memory recall,
Yeah.
is leaps and bounds better than it was 10 weeks ago.
And the brain fog
Um,
is just lifting, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Would you say that?
I would.
All
I'd
right,
say like
awesome.
70 to 80% better on like
Yeah.
on brain fog and mental recall.
Yeah, and that's awesome because that's kind of what we're striving for. I mean, part of the reason why we're doing this testimonial with you today is just to show that hey, natural approaches do work. And I think for a lot of people, they're kind of skeptical. We kind of have this reverse, thought process that when we get sick, we need to jump to drugs and surgery first, and then when that doesn't work, oh well, maybe I'll try something natural.
Hmm.
And the reality of it is the approach that we take in our office is really a whole body approach. It's a holistic approach. And it's really the approach that people really should be implementing and starting first, right? When
Hmm.
that doesn't work, or if that doesn't work, um, then resort to obviously other things. And I think we just do things so backwards here. It's just amazing. And so, what would you tell someone that maybe there's a guy out there and they're experiencing many of the same symptoms that you're experiencing? What would you basically what would you tell that person about our practice in terms of how we work with people, and maybe just what words of encouragement would you offer or give up to maybe that individual?
I would say, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, if nothing else, you could always schedule an appointment and at least get all the testing done. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
centralized place for the testing.
yeah,
And that's if your doctors aren't treating you, then they're not really, I wasted so much time and money going to doctors.
yeah,
And I felt like just you're treated horribly. I mean, that's, I'm a paying customer at the end of the day. Like,
yeah,
at
yeah.
least do your job. So if that's not being done for you, then you might as well try to seek an alternate route. And secondly, I agree with everything you're saying. Like I haven't even had so much as a sniffles this year.
Yeah.
Like I no colds, no illness. I was able to get out of the flu shot because I have an egg sensitivity,
Yeah.
um, and I feel completely fine. I mean, in previous years I would at least get some type of cold. You know,
What's
so I
exciting to hear, Philip, from you is to hear that you lost 10 years, well, this isn't the exciting part, but you lost 10 years of your life essentially being sick, and now you're better,
You
right?
know, it's yeah, I'm a lot better. Like we were talking earlier, I before I would avoid going out
Yeah,
because I would have sudden crashes that I couldn't explain. I mean, I couldn't explain what would precipitate these events, but now I don't have those crashes. I could actually go out with friends
yeah,
and not
that's
have to
awesome.
worry about crashes. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, hey, thanks for doing this testimonial for us. It means a lot to us, and obviously for people that watch it, it is just what I like to refer to as just wind in their sails, so to speak. And basically, for people that have lost hope and have lost maybe the thought process that they're just doomed, that they're just going to continue getting sicker, their life is only going to get worse. There's nothing else that can be done because maybe they've exhausted all the standard treatment approaches, but they haven't really done everything. They haven't focused on getting their body well.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why you're feeling so much better today than you did 10 years ago.
Right.
That's what's exciting. I mean, I love working with people and hearing stories like yours and being a part of that journey of just getting better. So I want to thank you for doing this for us.
Okay.
That means a lot to us.
All right, no worries. Thank you very much.
Hey, absolutely.